Even though I would personally love to see the BMW E30 come back in a new modernized form as a new M3, that would be fantastic because I know that would sell like crazy for a fact. However, that's not what we're getting. We're going to get this new Neue Klasse, of course, front end for the BMW M3. And we do have some new renderings here from Kelsonic. I'm going to link his Instagram account down below. One of my favorite, very talented artists when it comes to rendering spy photos and remove the camouflage and try to see what the car looks like underneath. And if this is what the new M3 is going to look like, I am all for it. We also have the EV up top, the internal combustion down low. Gonna look at the proportions, which are very, very different here. But again, would it be nice to see the E30 come back? For sure. But I think this is also a great idea to implement this Neue Klasse face. And I think this rendering is very, very close to what we're going to see in the final production version. They say that the specs for these vehicles are going to be, you still have the 3-liter twin-turbo inline-6 for the gas engine. It's going to be an updated system, mild hybrid for the gas version, exclusively 8-speed automatic. Unfortunately, we're not going to get the manual, 6-speed manual anymore for the 2028 model year. All-wheel drive horsepower is going to be around 500 horsepower, maybe starting around 525 horsepower for the base gas model. Then we're going to have the CSL, the CES, and we're going to have a bunch of special edition M3s, of course, after that. For the electric version, we're going to have quad motors on that with torque vectoring, meaning that each wheel is powered by its own electric motor, up to 700 horsepower. We have the prototypes, of course, showing over 1,300 horsepower, but that's probably not what we're going to get in the production version of the EV. And as I said, they look completely different. And I am a big fan of the ICE proportions here compared to the EV. I'm going to show you why in just a second. And I'm also going to show you why this front end Neue Klasse, in my opinion, is a lot better than the front end that we have with the big kidneys that we have right now. Let's take a minute to thank today's sponsor, Applaud. Imagine never missing an important detail again, whether it be a meeting, an interview, or even a quick call. With the Applaud Note Pro, you don't just capture conversations, you transform them into accurate, actionable notes in just seconds. Applaud doesn't just take notes, it pulls out key insights, builds action items for your whole team, and can even brainstorm and get tasks done for you. What makes the Applaud Note Pro stand out is this powerful 4-mic system paired with advanced AI transcription. It also filters out background noise while isolating voices clearly, so even in a crowded cafe or in a busy office, your conversations are captured with clarity up to 5 meters around you, well beyond what a smartphone mic can deliver. I really like the smart display. It actually shows me what's going on in real time. With AI transcription, your spoken words instantly become nicely formatted text you can review, edit, and share without the hassle of typing. The Applaud Note Pro also syncs effortlessly with your smartphone, laptop, or tablet. It doesn't matter if you're using iOS, Android, Mac, or Windows. The Applaud Note Pro allows you to ask questions about your recorded audio transcripts and notes. And it works hand in hand with popular productivity tools, so exporting meeting notes to Slack, Notion, or email takes just one tap. Unlike other recording tools, the Applaud Note Pro is built with privacy in mind. All your data are stored securely, and you control exactly where and how it is shared. End-to-end encryption ensures that sensitive conversations stay protected at all times. The Applaud Note Pro isn't just a note taker, it's a smart and efficient way to capture and remember what matters most. So if you're ready to upgrade the way you take notes, click the link down below in the description or in the pinned comment to get set up with your Applaud Note Pro today. And thanks to Applaud for sponsoring this video. So let's jump in straight into Photoshop here and let's see what this is all about. These new renderings from Kelsonic, linked down below to his Instagram account if you want to go and check out all of his renderings. So up top, we do have, of course, the current M3 up here. Now, this has definitely grown on me for sure. When it first came out, everybody, I think, was a little bit shocked to see these beaver teeth in the front end. Very big grills, but it also created something very unique for the M3, something we definitely have not seen before. But the thing about this front end, the thing I want to bring your attention to is just, if you look at all the graphic features as separated units, when we have a front end like this, any car design, you want to have the front end key graphics have some sort of connection to each other, and that is not the case here. For example, look at the headlight design here. Has almost like a organic vibe to it. You can see it having a very, rounded outline here, for example, and then we have this angle in this area right here. Let's make it red so you can see right here, this angle. And then we have the kidneys being very static, and this area, this part of the kidney clashes with this angle. It doesn't have any sort of connection to each other, these two key graphic features. And if you look at the lower section here, we have a very thin piece here, thin piece of bodywork. This looks like I can just go in and grab it and just break it. It looks very, very weak, and it goes into a sharp corner up here, sharp corner here, rounded corner in this area. So it's all over the place, this front end, when it comes to the key graphics. And that is the reason why I don't feel like this necessarily has a very nice, flowing front end. It feels like it's all over the place with the graphic features. Nothing has a connection with each other. Now looking at the Neue Klasse design down here. Now we're talking, because first of all, we have the two key graphics in the front, meaning that we have, for BMW I'm talking about right now, meaning that we do have the dual light elements in the front end. Angel eyes, if you remember those from back in the day. We still have two LEDs here. They're not circular though, even though it would be probably pretty cool to have something circular like that. But you can see the connection here now with the kidneys, because they sit inside of the same housing for the graphics. And this is a very, very interesting take, in my opinion, on Neue Klasse, on BMW key graphic elements, to combine the two most important elements of the front end of a BMW, the kidneys and the two separated light elements, in one single unit. And then we have the CS style graphics up top, which looks pretty cool, in my opinion. We also have these two lines in the center portion, creating this ridge in the middle of this design, looking very nice as well, housing the BMW logo in the center. In the lower section, what I would want to do here, you see how this black graphic sticks up very high up? What I want to do here is just lower this a little bit and have this be body color, so we have more of a bumper design like this. And I think that would just create a much more solid front end, because now we do have a clear separation between the lower half graphics and the upper half graphics by a solid bumper, instead of having it be as thin as it is right here. If we remove this, you can see the black graphic sticks, in my opinion, it sticks way too high up. And that is the reason why I want to lower down the bumper a little bit. I also like these graphics here, because these on the side, because they sit in line with this line right now, and then just goes down nicely in this area and creates a nice looking air intake there, I guess that is. And looking at the spy photos, I do think this rendering is pretty close to what we're actually going to see in the real car, because the real car, specifically look at this, look at the greenhouse design here, and the belt line, how it goes up a little bit in this area, creates a version, I would say, of the Hofmeister King, and that is exactly what we have in the spy photo here. We have a small subtle upswing right here before he goes in there, and we also have, you can see that we have the two key graphic features in the front end sitting inside of one single framing. We don't have this iX3 design where we have two small kidneys sticking down like this. Instead, we have a more stretched out horizontal layout for the front end design, which I think looks great. I'm not sure in this case how far the lower section, the intakes in the lower section actually stick up. They hopefully looks like they might actually stick up a little bit less than this. So maybe they end in this area right here before they go down. It looks like we should have some sort of a bumper here, and I love to see that these classic graphic proportions and elements in the front coming back and having a clear connection to each other, exactly like I want to see. Now, looking at the side view, what I like about the M3 compared to the M4, for example, is that we do have a proper shoulder line for this. That is not something we have on the M4. If you look at the M4 from a side view, it has one shoulder in the back over the rear axle, then it dips down and creates a lower shoulder in the door panel before it goes back up over the front axle once again. Here in the M3, look at this. We have one beautiful single line going across the entire line or the bodywork of the M3, and then it comes back in this area again in this lower section down here. We have this nice upswing here. The only thing I really don't like about this side view is they cheaped out on the door. Look at this door here. This is the door from a regular 3 Series, but since it is an M3, they need to create a wider fender in the rear. You can see just how harsh and tense this area is. It creates a very unnatural fold in this area that you cannot unsee once you've seen it. What I want to see here is a much better, flow going into the wide body and create the door having some sort of wide body connection to the fender itself instead of having that very sharp fold that we have right there. Then we have some graphics here as well. The greenhouse looks great. We have a nice design for the hood sticking out like we want on an internal combustion engine vehicle, having it shoot out like this from the A-pillar. And if we draw the line again from the A-pillar here going down, go straight into the center point of the front axle, and the starting point of the C-pillar, in this case, draw a line straight down, straight to the center point of the rear axle. And these are the proportions we want for proper German sedans, and that is exactly what we get here. Now look at the rendering here. This looks very, very good from a side view. I mean, very good. Because now we removed this black graphics here. I don't want to see it. This looks so much better not having it at all. We still have a nice shoulder line right here that goes down into this graphics that we have right here, and we have a straight line in the lower section, which I think looks better than this curvature that we have in the current one. And you can see that in this case, we do have a nice integration of the wider fender. In this case, it goes into the door and doesn't have this fold that we have in the current generation of the M3. And I also like that it looks like the trunk design in this case is more defined than what it is here. It's a little bit shorter on the current M3, but here it sticks out a little longer, creating this third box that is so necessary for sedan designs to have with the 3-box design that we have going on. This looks way better than the current M3, and I hope this is exactly what the next M3 is going to look like. And then, well, of course, we do have these bronze wheels that I've always been a massive fan of from factory, even if we have 20s in the back and 19s in the front, having this Hot Wheels stance. Now, looking at the side view of the actual car, the proportions, it kind of looks like it could actually look like the rendering here, because we can't really see what's going on in the side with all the camo here with the line flow, shoulder line and so on, but we can see the proportions. The proportions look spot on in this case, still have the same starting point of the C-pillar going straight down to the center point of the rear axle, A-pillar straight down to the front axle center point, and we have the hood shooting out beautifully like this, looking absolutely gorgeous. And this looks great. This is what I want to see BMW build for the next 3 Series. In a side view, it looks perfect to me. There's nothing too complex about it, and it's very, very clean. Now, last but not least, before I look at the EV versus the internal combustion engine version and the proportions, let's have a look at the rear end. Current one does not look bad at all. It has this beautiful hockey stick design that goes from thin piece right here of LED into a thicker piece, looking beautiful, creating some dynamic movement here. We have a nice chamfer up top in this ducktail that goes up like this, looking very nice as well. A small little lip spoiler that was typical from the E46 era of the M3. Just add a small little tiny carbon fiber or black lip, as small and subtle as possible, and that is still what we have in the current M3. And we have this nice chamfer creating a beautiful bumper in the rear end, in addition to the nice exhaust pipes. Quad round exhaust pipes, of course. If it's going to be an M3, we need to have that. I think this corner is a little bit too sharp, but that is just a small little detail. Now, looking at the new one, we still have the quad exhaust pipes. It looks like in the rendering here, they sit a little farther from, away from each other. So we have a wider distance, which is not a bad thing at all. I want to have them sit almost in the corner of the lower section of the rear end. And I do think these taillights are very close to what we're going to see in the production version, because we've seen more spy photos of the taillights, and they have this little triangular piece of LED in the very end point. So this might, again, actually be very close to what the production version is going to look like, even though I do think this area here, these lines that we have in this area are going to change to be a little bit more different from what we have in the current generation. We still have the small little lip spoiler up top. And the proportions of the M3 in spy photos, we do have the quad tailpipes in the lower section, properly designed bumper, waterfall design from the taillights going down and creating this bumper looking absolutely beautiful. And I do think this is going to be a very, very good looking BMW, and that is needed after all these years of I don't know what BMW has been doing with their cars and the car designs. It's just not been on point, but I do think this Neue Klasse design in general is just going to be a step in the right direction for sure. Last but not least, I just want to show you this because this is the general problem I have. I mean, with pretty much every single EV, they have such, weird proportions to them, and you can see that clearly here. Up top, we have the EV for the new 3 Series. You can see it drawing down the A-pillar here. It does not go into the center point. It goes almost to the top part of the wheel in the front end. And we also have this very stubby looking rear end, and it sits a little higher as well because we need to have the battery pack underneath here. So it doesn't look nowhere near as nice as the internal combustion engine version. You can see how the hood sits much higher up as well, and it's a lot shorter as well compared to, of course, the ICE version down here, which has these long stretched out proportions, clear 3-box design here again. And again, if you draw down the A-pillar, you're going to find we have these proportions that we're looking at for a classic German sedan. So very excited to see what this Neue Klasse is going to look like.